Hey, it's Josh Noel. In this video, I want to show you how to create a parallax effect for your photos here in After Effects. Producing the parallax effect is all about creating depth and different planes of motion within your images. So essentially, you can use this effect for short promos, or if you have a lot of images and you want to put together a really cool video, the parallax effect is going to help you accomplish an awesome piece of work. So please be sure to drop a like on this video. It really helps out our YouTube channel a ton. And if you're ready to create something awesome, let's jump in and let's get started. We have After Effects loaded up, and as always, you can download the project files for free. The link's in the description below. So we have our photo in here, no animation whatsoever. Let's go ahead and add some animation to this. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that our image is a 3D layer, and then you come here to Layer, New, Camera. Click OK, and we'll open up our camera, open Transform, add a keyframe for point of interest and position, and also Z rotation. We'll move that Z rotation keyframe forward, and then we'll set the Z rotation to maybe like 8 degrees. And this will give us a slight rotation on our scene, and we'll move forward to 4 seconds. We'll come here to the top, grab the dolly towards cursor tool, and we'll zoom into our shots. And one thing that may happen to your image due to the rotation is some of the black edges here. You can just go ahead and scale up your image just by a little bit, and that will solve that issue. Creating the parallax effect is all about creating depth and add it in different planes of motion. So what we want to do is maybe add in some other images in here. So I have this grunge texture. You can download the project files for free, and we'll just bring this into our comp. We'll toggle switch the modes, make sure it's set to screen, and then make sure it's a 3D layer as well. Then we can hit P on our keyboard for position, and we can bring this to the negative value, and this will bring it closer to the camera. So by locking in that position, we are automatically creating depth with this new asset. Another thing we can do is grab our photo, hit P on our keyboard for position there, and bring this further back. And then just hit S on your keyboard for scale and scale up your image a little bit. And by doing that, you'll create even greater depth. And this will allow us to take our grunge image, for example, and go to Edit, Duplicate. You can hit P on your keyboard for position, and we can bring this, further back into our composition to create even more depth. We can hit R on keyboard for rotation and just rotate this so we can have a variation. And as you position these back, make sure to adjust the scale of the image so you don't see any of those hard edges. And just to showcase the range of depth here, you'll see that one grunge image has a Z position of 2100. The original one has a Z position of negative 1400, and our photo now has a Z position of almost 5000. The more you can vary the Z position of these images, the more depth you're going to create and the better it's going to look. Since we have the camera animation set up, it's very easy to insert other objects into the scene and continue to create even more depth. So building onto the depth of our scene, we need to be able to control the depth of field so we can have some things out of focus as we move through our shot. So what we want to do is open up our camera, go to camera options, and turn depth of field on. And it'll slightly make some things out of focus, but we can adjust the settings even further. But first of all, the focus distance should be set to the Z position of your photo. So you can just copy that Z position of your photo and paste it into the focus distance. Therefore, your photo will actually be in focus while all the foreground objects will pop more out of focus. And we can adjust the blurriness of our foreground images by coming here to aperture and increasing this number. So as I scrub through the settings here, you'll see that as I increase the aperture, our foreground images become more and more out of focus. So it's really up to you how much out of focus depth you want to have. So here's currently what we have. Everything is coming together, but another huge aspect of creating a parallax effect is having different planes of motion. So right now we still only have one plane of motion. We're zooming into our scene, but we have created depth. So let's go ahead and create another system of motion. What we'll do is come here to Layer, New, Null Object. And we'll take our grunge images or any other assets that you may have used and parent this to the null object. And we can S on our keyboard for scale. You can add a keyframe and we'll move forward in time. And we will scale in, set this to maybe like 120. So even though it still looks like we're zooming in, we have effectively created 2 planes of motion, and it does make a difference, especially when you build onto your scene. So for example, I can come here to our Motion Graphics Professionals pack and apply a particle asset. Remember, you can get this particle asset for free by downloading the project files. And if I come here to bring in my timeline and if I parent it to our motion null, and I don't make this particle a 3D layer, we are now making the parallax effect even more noticeable because now this particle layer is on its own plane of motion. And I continue to build off this concept by maybe importing a light leak image. And anytime you use light leaks like this, make sure that you set the blend mode to screen, add, or lighten. And I'm not going to even set this layer to 3D or parent it to the motion null that we've created. So by stacking external elements, you can really make an image pop. Before we move further into the video, we have a sponsor, and that's us. If you use After Effects or Premiere Pro, then be sure to check out our MotionDuck extension, which has over 20,000 editable templates for your projects. For example, you can browse, import, and edit templates all from the MotionDuck extension. So you'll be able to save hours of time on every project while producing high quality work. You can also download our free 100 template pack with the links in the description below. And if you purchase anything from our website, you will be supporting our channel, so thank you very much. So let's say you want to insert titles into your scene, which you might want to do. Go ahead and type out your title, design it however you need to do it. If you need to be able to create really cool title design animations, I'll link a tutorial in the description. But once your title's in here, all you need to do is make it a 3D layer. It'll automatically take the camera properties, and then you just hit P on keyboard for position, and you'll just push this bad boy back into 3D space. And if you need to make it larger because you pushed it back too far, just hit S on keyboard for scale and scale it up. So the last concept I want to talk about is building out a bigger scene and also adding in a blur transition to move over to the next scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer, and you'll go to Effect, Blur and Sharpen, and add a Gaussian blur or one of your favorite blurs. And we'll come here to the beginning of our timeline, maybe to, I don't know, 12 frames, add a keyframe for blurriness, go to 0 frames, and set the blurriness up. So we'll have this initial, transition blur into our scene, and we'll come here to say maybe 3 seconds, and we'll hit U on our keyboard to bring up the keyframes, add a keyframe for blurriness, move forward in time maybe to, I don't know, 4 seconds in your timeline, and we can then increase the blurriness. I'll actually go to 3 seconds, 12 frames to have some consistency there. Then all we need to do is take all the content that we've created and go to Layer, Pre-Compose. I'll call it Scene 1, click OK. So now we can easily duplicate this and create some additional slides. So then all I'll do is drag in our out point to right here, and I will come here to Project. I'll go ahead and search for this composition called Scene 1. I will duplicate it. I can then bring this into our timeline, push it back to that cut, double click on Scene 2, and come here to Photo 1. I can go ahead and just swap in my photo by holding Alt on my keyboard, and I have my additional photo in here. Just go ahead and adjust the scale. I can also change out my titles as I see fit. I can also variate the grunge textures here. So, okay, on my keyboard for rotation, I can rotate these so we'll have a different look. And I have different light leak assets in here. So like I said, you can download project files and just have a few different variations. So I can swap in a different light leak. But either way, by following the principles in this video, you can quickly build out an entire parallax scene just by quickly duplicating and swapping in some new assets and obviously your new photos. So this is how you can build a really awesome parallax scene here in After Effects. Be sure to download our 100 free After Effects and Premiere Pro templates. That link will be in the description below. You get our MotionDuck extension. And if you're new to our YouTube channel, SonduckFilm, please be sure to hit that subscribe button because we post multiple videos like this every single week, and always be creating.